Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure unto the end. Shabbat Shalom. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. And I'm going to start it off in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, speaking of you Israelites, or you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. And for 2/3 of our people over here in the United States of America, they don't take counsel of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, and they take counsel of the enemy, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And, that's ultimately going to lead to your shame and your destruction, as it's about to say in verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt, spiritual Egypt as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8, the United States, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And, we saw this with a lot of our people, during these past presidential selections. It was such a bad job that Sleepy Joe did. You had Latinos for Trump, blacks for Trump, etc., etc. Jake repping DJ Donald Trump hard, thinking he was going to, bring back the good times. But as we're going to get into this video, hey, Trump's not bringing them good times. He's bringing them bad times. And as it's about to say, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Because Trump is coming down hard on the tribes, and he hasn't been in office but for what, about a week and a half. And he's especially going after you Northern Kingdom, or you so-called Latinos and Native Americans right now. Which brings me to my first article on Salon.com. Excluding Indians, Trump administration questions so-called Native Americans' birthright citizenship in court. And the so-called Native Americans make up the tribe of Gad and the tribe of Reuben, who are the Seminole Indians. The Trump administration is leaning on a pre-14th Amendment law in its fight to redefine birthright citizenship. In the Trump administration's arguments defending his order to suspend birthright citizenship, the Justice Department called into question the citizenship of so-called Native Americans born in the United States under the 14th Amendment, citing 19th century law that excluded Native Americans from birthright citizenship. In a case on Trump's birthright citizenship executive order coming out of Washington, Justice Department attorneys quote the 14th Amendment, which reads that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, and hang one of their arguments on the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Under the plain terms of the clause, birth in the United States does not itself entitle a person to citizenship. The person must also be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, the filing reads. The Justice Department then goes on to cite the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which predates the 14th Amendment by 2 years. The Justice Department attorneys specifically cite a section of the act that notes that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed and hereby declared to be citizens of the United States. The Trump administration then goes on to argue that the 14th Amendment's language, the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof, is best understood to exclude the same individuals who were excluded by the act, i.e. those who are not subject to any foreign power and Indians not taxed. The Justice Department attorneys returned to the topic of whether or not Native Americans should be entitled to birthright citizenship later in their arguments, citing a Supreme Court case, Elk versus Wilkins, in which the court decided that because members of Indian tribes owe immediate allegiance to their tribes, they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are not constitutionally entitled to citizenship. Esau is a straight dog out here. Here you had, the Gadites and the Reubenites here first, and the ultimate colonizer, the ultimate illegal immigrant, Esau Edom, comes over here, takes the Northern Kingdom's land, and then hundreds of years later is now trying to, put acts into place to question their birthright citizenship. Hey, as it says in Micah chapter 2, verse 10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. America, Egypt, Babylon was never meant to be our rest. And what we should be doing right now, as the hopeful elect, is doing everything we can to distance ourselves from this place spiritually. And so when it does go down, hey, we're not attached to, this place. And we should be hastening the day to get out of here. But, for 2/3 of our people who go down to Egypt for help, as it said, trusting in the shadow of Pharaoh is ultimately going to be your shame and your destruction. But now I'm going to go to my next article on thedailybeast.com. U.S. citizens warned to carry ID amid ICE ramp up. U.S. citizens are being warned to carry their IDs with them as run-ins with immigration officers ramp up across the country. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE workers, are reported to be actively questioning and detaining individuals in the U.S. after President Donald Trump took office less than a week ago. Hey, stop and frisk on steroids. Who do you think they're targeting? You are the tribes that, look, like a so-called, Central or South American. Outlets have reported that even citizens have been detained in some said raids, causing concern among groups like the Navajo Nation, which, remember that, where its president, Boo Naren, warned members to carry their identification with them. While we understand that heightened awareness can trigger panic, we wish to emphasize that the best approach is to be prepared, Naren wrote on Facebook Thursday. Having your state ID is crucial. The Arizona tribal leader said that ICE activity had prompted anxiety and hysteria among community members. A raid in Newark, New Jersey this week allegedly resulted in a U.S. veteran being detained by officials, among other American citizens, Newsweek reported. New Jersey Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman warned on X, "It doesn't matter if you're a citizen who served our country in uniform. You too can be stopped without a warning or a warrant and shaken down for your papers." And as we read in that first article, it's looking like it don't even matter if you were born here. Trump is coming down with that hammer. And, the crosshairs are squarely on you tribes. This brings me to my next article on CNN.com, because remember what it said, Navajo Nation leaders were warning, those of the Navajo Nation, which, Israelites, Gadites, they wanted them to carry their ID because ICE is, stopping anybody that looks, so-called Central or South American. Well, Navajo Nation leaders raise alarm over reports of indigenous people being questioned and detained during immigration sweeps. And so according to this article, you've got those of, the tribe of Gad already, getting hemmed up by ICE agents. At least 15 indigenous people in Arizona and New Mexico have reported being stopped at their homes and workplaces, questioned or detained by federal law enforcement, and asked to produce proof of citizenship during immigration raids since Wednesday, according to Navajo Nation officials. The reports, which have caused panic amongst tribal communities in both states, come amid the Trump administration's attempt to ramp up undocumented immigrant arrests nationwide and amass a larger force to carry out the president's deportation pledge. CNN has reached out to the White House for comment. The reported raids and the exact number of Diné, Navajo, and other indigenous tribal citizens who were apprehended are still under investigation, Navajo Nation Council Speaker Crystalline Curley told CNN. It is unclear if Immigration and Customs Enforcement or other law enforcement entities were conducting the apprehensions. ICE has not responded to CNN's request for comment. That's pretty much it with this article. You get the point. But hey, Trump is looking like he could very well be that cruel Lord in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 4. And the Egyptians, spiritual Egyptians, the Americans, which includes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. And from those few articles we read, hey, you northern kingdom, hey, you're being given over into the hands of that cruel Lord right now. And while I've been going into the northern kingdom, hey, southern kingdom isn't exempt either, because a lot of you, voted for Trump thinking that he was going to bring back the good times. And, for a lot of you, that's going to be your shame as well. This is an article from APnews.com. In policy reversal, Trump eliminates help for so-called Black and so-called Latino communities hit harder by pollution. For 4 years, the Environmental Protection Agency made environmental justice one of its biggest priorities, working to improve health conditions in heavily polluted communities often made up largely of so-called Black, so-called Latino, and low-income Americans. Now that short-lived era is over, President Donald Trump, in his first week, eliminated a team of White House advisors whose job it was to ensure the entire federal government helped communities located near heavy industry, ports, and roadways. Trump eliminated the Justice 40 initiative the Biden administration had created. It required 40% of the benefits from certain environmental programs to go to hard-hit communities. When the government reviews new facilities now, experts say officials are likely to ignore how any pollution they create may exacerbate what communities already experience. Trump's actions will likely halt funds from Biden administration's signature climate law, the Inflation Reduction Act for climate programs, and environmental justice. In making the decision this week, Trump eliminated federal policy dating back to the Clinton era, which had established a government priority of addressing environmental health problems for low-income and minority groups. He also withdrew the nation from the Paris Agreement aimed at combating climate change. A woe to the rebellious children that seek counsel but not of Yahweh, and that go down to Egypt for help and trust in the shadow of Pharaoh or the president, but the shadow of Pharaoh shall be your shame. This is Lamentations chapter 4. I'm going to read verses 17 to 19. As for us, speaking of you Israelites, our eyes as yet failed for our vain or useless help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. Latinos for Trump, blacks for Trump. They hunt our steps that we cannot go into our cities. And we can see they are literally doing that right now with what? You Northern Kingdom, with all these ICE raids. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. And the end is coming, for 2/3 of you rebellious Israelites who look to Esau for help and not to your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahabashai. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of heaven. And who's known for using the eagle as their symbol? Esau Edom, that proud bald eagle. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. And now I'm going to play, I'm going to exit some of these out. I'm going to play this clip from World Star Hip Hop. Latin woman who voted for Trump, go down to trust in Egypt for help, breaks down amid promised ICE deportations. I'm so scared. God protect us, please. Well, hey, it's too late to cry now. For decades at this point, you've had the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, beginning with One West and chiefly through GMS today, or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS, out there with the 12 tribes sign, including you Northern Kingdom, on the highways and byways preaching, as well as putting up video epistles like this, telling you to trust in your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahabashai, and not in your enemy, Esau Edom. Hey, but for the majority of you, you do what? You scoff at the word and cast it behind your back. Well, what does it say in 2nd Esdras chapter 9? For those that took this time of liberty as a joke and didn't want to hear the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahabashai, the same must know it after death by pain. Because it's just, paperwork and raids right now. Eventually, it's going to get violent. And there will be, as the song says, bodies hitting the floor. But, fair use, copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And she looked like a demon anyway.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust him with the word that he promised us Latinos.
Was it say in Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 12, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. This is that same Edomite from the 50s, the 1800s, the 1400s, the 16, 17, you name it. From the Roman Empire, the Grecian captivities that put holy hell on you, Jakes. These Edomites have that perpetual, never-ending hatred towards you, as it says in Ezekiel 35, verse 5. But, for 2/3 of our people, they're spiritually dead. And you know what they say, a hard head makes a soft ass.
This is crazy that starting next week, multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work. Where I work at, a lot of Latinos did not go to work. And that's crazy because we have a living too.
Time today. I was scrolling down through these comments. It's over 2K of comments of negative and positive comments, if you really want to talk about it.
That's pretty much it with that clip. This is Hosea 9 and 13. Ephraim, which is, your so-called Puerto Ricans. But, Ephraim can, encompass the entire northern kingdom, since they're the head of the northern kingdom, just as Judah is the head of the southern kingdom. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. And, the island of Puerto Rico means rich port because, it's a beautiful place with natural resources there. A lot like where a lot of you northern kingdom dwelt in. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place, but Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer. And, you northern kingdom, have been, flooding into the United States, trying to become citizens and trying to find a better life here. But as we're seeing under that cruel Lord Trump, hey, you brought your children to the murderer because he's starting, with these raids. And like I said, it's going to get to the point to where things are going to get physical out here and bodies will hit the floor, whether it be under Trump or somebody else. But it's looking like Trump's going to be the man to bring in, those draconian measures. But now I'm going to close it out in Ezekiel chapter 21. I'm going to start at verse 9. Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh, say, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? Hey, you Israelites should be in a state of humbling yourselves and coming back to your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, not being worried about, what kind of food you're going to get for your Super Bowl party or down here with the goddamn Mardi Gras. It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he hath given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer, the wicked, who is the sword of the Lord, as it says in Psalm 17, verse 13. And that wicked, according to Malachi 1, verse 4, and Job 9 and 24, is Esau Edom. Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people. It shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thigh. Woe to the rebellious children that trust in the shadow of Pharaoh and go down to Egypt for help. For Pharaoh shall ultimately be your shame. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere, Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shabbat Shalom.